That's Young Thug and Gunna now among 28 people charged in a massive gang and racketeering sting out of Georgia. Authorities say they believe the two are associated with the Atlanta-based YSL gang, and they're accused of conspiring to violate the state's Rico Act.
We're here today to speak on the arrest of Jeffrey Williams that, in collaboration with Fulton County DA's office and the Fulton County Sheriff on yesterday.
If you come to Fulton County, Georgia, and you commit crimes, and certainly if those crimes are in furtherance of a street gang, that you are going to become a target and a focus of this district attorney's office, and we are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
This afternoon, he was facing a judge in court. In this 88-page indictment, the rapper who goes by Young Thug is described as a founder of the gang Young Slime Life. He's accused of racketeering, making terroristic threats, theft, renting a car used in a murder, and participating in a criminal street gang as one of its organizers.
Hey, yo, squad, what's the drill? Back with another video, man. You know Young Stoner Life Records, aka YSL Records, the label owned by Young Thug, has been a major player in the hip-hop world in the past few years. With names like Lil Baby, Gunna, and Lil Keed under its umbrella, it's made quite an impact on the industry. Throughout the past decade, Young Thug was able to create a name for himself without carrying the image of your average street dude. Yet and still, if you followed him throughout his whole career, it would be hard to ignore his run-ins with the law. His most recent arrest would be on a totally different level than any of his previous. It would also include the arrest of a couple dozen other people and find YSL's golden child Gunna behind bars as well, with everybody in cuffs being attached to the scariest R word that any street dude will ever hear: Rico. So in this video, we will be taking a closer look at everything that's going on with this Young Thug and YSL case and see if the recent turn of events means it's done for good, or can they somehow bounce back from it. So without further ado, let's skip the play and get down to business. Young Thug was born Jeffrey Lamar Williams and grew up on the streets of Atlanta. He's always called Atlanta the Mecca with black people in power, where it doesn't matter if you're black, you can walk the streets without having to worry about a cop jumping you out of nowhere. In the work he's done, he credits the streets of Atlanta for shaping him and making him a better man. When Young Thug was younger though, he had issues with anger. He went to juvie after breaking the teacher's arm, and there he learned everything he was supposed to unlearn. In an interview with Rolling Stone, he described 4 years in juvie. He said, "A lot of punishment. I didn't do shit there, but gamble, smoke, and fuck." I don't know how he did the last one, but anyways, it set the precedent for the rest of his life, one that he seemed to want to get away from. When Thug got out of juvie, he started to work on music, starting off his official career in 2010 with the song She Can Go by True Royal. The collaboration was enough to get Thug noticed by the likes of Gucci Mane, who took him under his wing and signed him to his own label, 1017 Brick Squad Records, where Thug thrived. So much so that he was able to start his own label just 3 years later, Young Stoner Life, or YSL Records for short. And with it, he was able to change the game. His first album with his own label was so much fun, and it made it to the top of the Billboard charts in the US and the UK. He started collaborating with megastars like Machine Gun Kelly, 21 Savage, Travis Scott, and Future. He even took Lil Baby under his wing so he could make it and get his true potential out without falling victim to the streets. While he's made major progress on his own and with other artists with the time he's been active, the curse of being a rapper in America is still very much prevalent. Rappers in America are mostly from the streets, and street rappers have always been disregarded and stereotyped as gang members or affiliated with the gang lifestyle. Separating that popular opinion from artists can really be a difficult thing to do. And they also get unfairly targeted just because they fit a certain profile. And in the case of Young Thug, there might be more to it than just the profile. Here's what happened, man. On the 9th of May, Young Thug was arrested from his Atlanta home after a police raid was conducted unexpectedly. They took him to an Atlanta jail where they were holding him without bail until his hearing.
Calendar, you are here because you have been indicted under 22 SC 182273 for conspiracy to violate the Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act and participation in criminal street gang activity.
At first, it was thought that he might have been arrested on gun or illegal substance possession charges, which honestly isn't that big of a surprise when you're talking about big names in Hollywood. But then, the official statement was released that he was arrested on racketeering, influence, and corrupting organizations charges, which is RICO. But that was just surface level stuff. Things were messy. He was also being charged with hit, armed robbery, and participation in criminal street gang activity. When his lawyer was asked about what was going on, he said,
I'll tell you the response to any allegation is Mr. Williams committed no crime whatsoever, and we will fight to my last drop of blood to clear.
So according to him and his lawyers, the allegations were baseless, and generally when there are baseless allegations, it doesn't take them long to get thrown out of court, and usually bail is set even if it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. But this case is different. It's got a lot more going on than everybody originally thought. Fulton County prosecutors published an 88-count indictment where they had named Young Thug, who runs YSL, and then 28 other members too, including Gunna, on the charges of RICO, hit, armed robbery, and participation in criminal street gang activity. You might be thinking, who's the hit that Young Thug was being charged for? Well, this is when things get even messier. While the main charge is still RICO, along with guns and illegal substance possession, there's a lot more to it. In 2015, a young man named Donovan Thomas Jr. was shot and hit outside of a barbershop in Atlanta. With him, 2 other people, and one of them being a 14-year-old boy, were injured as well. Donovan was hit in a drive-by shooting, and the car that was used in the drive-by was rented out by Young Thug. YFN Lucci, Young Thug's rival, had a close relationship with Thomas and is currently locked up for another hit, that of James Adams. YFN Lucci and Young Thug have had a long-standing feud that encompassed their personal and professional lives, and things continued getting worse as time went on too. Lucci claimed that Young Thug had put a hit on his head while he was in jail. He actually ended up getting stabbed a few days later and said that he thinks he'll never make it to trial on the hit case that he still pleaded not guilty for. Who's in that same jail now? None other than Young Thug himself, so things might get scarier going forward. On the 11th of May, Gunna turned himself in and was arrested on the charges that Young Thug was facing too. He was tied to the YSL gang after the prosecutors used photos of him wearing YSL chains, which were enough to prove that he had ties with the gang and that everyone in the group overall was propagating violence everywhere they went. Young Thug's father spoke to the press and said,
I think my son has been unfairly linked to a lot of things. But, it's up to us to prove it.
So the authorities were out there arresting rappers left, right, and center. Things kept getting messier and rappers continued to stand by their not guilty plea. The thing here is that when there's a RICO case going on, the authorities can charge or pursue individuals for something that the organization did as a whole. So even if someone has the slightest link to YSL, they can be tried in the case too. What's worse is that the charges are serious, and because it involves high-profile rappers, the case might just end up being used as an example to keep rappers and just people in general in line. They might want to set a narrative of if the richest of the rich can't get away with it, no one can. All the prosecutors really need to do is find the tiniest of links to the YSL camp, and they can pretty much bring anyone into the case too. In the indictment, they've gone as far back as 2015 and are charging Young Thug in the YSL camp for the 2015 shooting of Lil Wayne's tour bus. Young Thug is being charged for every single angle possible. During the raid he was arrested in, the authorities also found guns and illegal substances, which have just made matters worse for him while on the inside. While all of this was going on, things got even worse, and a young rapper in the YSL camp, Rakeed Javon Render, better known as Lil Keed, unexpectedly passed away at the age of 24. Lil Keed was considered somewhat of a protege to Young Thug. The rapper had been working with Thugger from the very beginning, with Thug teaching him the ropes. It was thought that he'd be the one acting as the successor, but right in the middle of the peak of the arrest, he died. What people find shady is the sheer timing of it all. A few days ago, Lil Keed had just posted a story saying, YSL is a family, YSL is a label, YSL is a way of life, YSL is a lifestyle, YSL is not a gang, YSL is not a criminal organization, and YSL is not a street gang, and YSL is not a mob. He wanted people to know that they were just a group of professionals that made music together, but then, under mysterious circumstances, he passed away himself. No news has been released on the official cause of death as the recording of this video. Everything is still unconfirmed. For now, the authorities are using everything they can to pin whatever they can to Young Thug and the YSL camp as a whole, going as far as to even use lyrics from the songs to prove them guilty or at least make them look as bad as possible. One of the songs that they've used in the indictment is Just How It Is from 2019, where Thug says, I done did the robbing, I done did the jacking, now I'm full rapping. And he also said, gave the lawyer close to $2 million, he handled all of the hits, it's all mob business. We know they hit the biggest cats of all kitties. From the prosecution's view, These lyrics show full intent, if not a full-blown confession. Young Thug and all the rappers that have been named in the case are being watched with a microscope. Their history, their present, and their future is on the line. With how things are going, it'll be highly unlikely that these guys are going to make it out of this case in one piece. But who knows how crazy things are going to unfold going forward. We'll just have to wait until we can find out more. Well, there you have it. Thanks for kicking it with your boy. Appreciate the love and support. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on what you think about this insane case. Do you think that Young Thug or even YSL in general can really bounce back from something this big? Anyways, I'll catch y'all when I double back round for the next vid. And remember, stay smart, stay alert, and stay real. I'm out, y'all.